Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video will briefly provide some information regarding the interview questions for U.S. visa applicants, specifically in the context of fiancé and marriage visas, family-based cases essentially. It's a major concern of many clients that we have that the applicant, basically the foreign spouse or the foreign fiancé of an American citizen or lawful permanent resident, has assistance in understanding the type of questions that are going to be asked or possibly asked at a visa interview, at an immigration visa application interview. A couple of things to note. First of all, there are sort of a set of model questions that we do utilize for our clients and basically walk them through question by question when preparing them for the interview. But something to keep in mind with respect to the interview and with respect to interview questions is that, understand, consular officers are not particularly interested in stumping a visa applicant or in it, sort of humiliates even too strong a word, as that's never really, in my opinion, been an issue or something that even people had a misunderstanding as to an issue. But consular officers are not, in my experience, particularly interested in creating undue problems for the applicant. What they're interested in doing is conducting reasonable due diligence pursuant to their mandate, which is adjudicating visa applications to ensure that only legitimate applications are approved. So to worry or to fret sort of unreasonably over the visa interview is A, fruitless, and B, not particularly warranted. It's never been my experience that a visa application will be sort of unduly scrutinized, because what would be the purpose of that? Again, the mandate on the part of Department of State personnel is to make sure that a legitimate application is approved and that said approval happens pursuant to various forms of due diligence and adjudicatory scrutiny. So, to sort of dispel one of the myths, the first myth to dispel, at least in my experience, is that consular officers are sort of out to get you. That's not been my experience. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If anything, it's been my experience that consular officers are basically there to do a job and, ascertain whether or not the individual in question is a bona fide applicant and should therefore be approved for a visa. So the first thing to keep in mind is that, nobody is there sort of looking to put someone under undue pressure. The second thing to keep in mind is that understanding, or just a basic understanding of the protocols that are going to be undertaken on the day of an interview is extremely helpful for the applicant. So to have the basic protocols of how each individual or how the line that forms at the embassy is going to be brought in, and how that line and how the various individuals who are applying for a visa that day are going to be called forth is helpful. And someone who can basically say from years of experience, look, they're going to bring you in, they're going to do this way, you're going to wait, your name's going to be called, and assuming everything's okay, it's going to go this way. If they have an issue, this is how that's going to play out. To be able to say that with a certain degree of with some degree of certainty, it provides a great deal of insight into what's going to happen, which in my experience causes a great deal of the anxiety over the process to sort of diminish. And for that reason, again, I assist all of my clients in providing clear, precise, and concise answers regarding their relationship with their American spouse or their American fiancé. More than anything, being able to just simply provide clear answers to fairly routine questions is going to be the main crux of what occurs at the visa interview. Another thing to keep in mind is the visa interview does not need to be in English. It needs to be in English if the only language that or I should not say needs to be, but it probably ought to be in English if the applicant and the petitioner's only language in common is English. And the reason for that is one wants to see, or I should say the personnel of DOS are going to want to see that, yes, this couple can communicate. So English proficiency isn't necessarily the name of the game, so to speak, but some sort of English functionality where the couple can communicate is going to be helpful. I mean, honestly, let's be clear here, even where both sides of a couple speak fluent English, let's say, or speak each other's language fluently, there's still going to be miscommunications in any relationship. Okay, so some sort of commonality of language proficiency is going to be necessary when processing cases where a fiance or a spouse of an American citizen is going to be immigrating to the United States. It stands to reason that some basic level of communication should be there. But that being said, it's never been my experience that the officers adjudicating these matters are looking to sort of stump the applicant. Quite the opposite. It's mostly a due diligence exercise, and the individuals are going to want to go, and the individuals interviewing the applicants are simply, again, undertaking due diligence as mandated by Department of State rules and by U.S. immigration law and regulation.